Hello and welcome to the Garibal studio. I'm joined now by Antoine from Atos, and firstly, welcome to the studio. Thank you for making the time. And one of the things that we were talking off air about, and has been commented on by other experts, is this IT/OT convergence, digitization of the utility, and so on. From an Atos standpoint, what are you guys seeing?
Okay, well, that's a fairly interesting question. Maybe just a quick introduction on Atos first.
Sure.
We are now a very large IT services company, churning out 10 billion euro of annual revenues a year, and with a very significant presence in the energy and utility market. For years, we were a pioneer in the IT/OT convergence, having designed and implemented, for example, for EDF, one of the first digital control room for nuclear power plants, which has been then rolled out all across the French nuclear fleet, sold to the UK, to Russia, to China. That's precisely, basically, where this bridge between IT and OT materialized. This year, we were now clearly all convinced that there was something even bigger at stake, which is about digital transformation at utilities. We see a number of executives from utilities knocking at our doors and interested in getting our views about how we can help them transform their corporations. Maybe two examples or two angles, just to explain a little bit what we have in mind. First, we see a new focus on the end customer. You know that in this industry, for years, utilities were more obsessed by their own performance, managing their assets, of course, making sure that the network was properly managed, but kind of losing a track or ignoring or, well, putting somehow some low priority really on the customer. And things are changing for various reasons. We see clearly the level of churn on the retail side basically increasing a lot, and there is now a clear need for differentiation. So you need to understand who your customer is. You need to be able to encourage, and you need to be able to drive the customer's behavior. So trying to revolutionize the way basically you serve your customers as a utilities is important. And we've got tools, we've got methodologies, we've got software to achieve this objective. A good example is many utilities, obviously, today are deploying smart meter architecture. We at Atos, we have designed a first portfolio of value-add services that we can implement on top of any smart meter architecture. Basically, not only to help customers understand the value of smart meters, typically making sure that they opt in for the model, but also a new way for utilities to derive new revenue streams from selling those services, not only to these end customers, but also to partners. And we've got a lot of discussions with R&D teams from utilities, but also marketing teams from utilities, people from the metering business, very keen basically to find new ways to create value from the data, and so on and so forth. So this is a very fascinating topic, and here we are somehow at the crossroads between, of course, the metering department, the retail business, the convergence towards the connected homes ecosystem. So a clear focus for the coming years.
So the time is right, the framework is right, and the customers are clearly, they are the ones who are driving them. They're the ones who are coming to you and saying, this is what we need. You know,
that's exactly the point. We see still a number of utilities a little bit hesitant, just looking at the economic model of smart metering. And our message to them is fairly simple. We need to broaden up the picture. We need basically to look at new ways to create value towards the end customer, typically by leveraging all the power of the data which are captured by smart meters. So we can bring really economic solutions to this thorny question. So, and it comes definitely from the CFO of our utilities.
Right. So what you're saying is that, okay, do not view the smart meter as a thing you have to do because there's some legislative rod on your back. but view it as an opportunity to deliver value-added services, and that should be the economic case for the smart meter. On that note, the specific question is, again, can you crystallize what some of these value-added services look like?
Of course, that's really the most important topic maybe for today. Well, we are very keen to implement models where basically by introducing new partners to the game, we can create new value-add services and therefore create new revenue streams. We found out that even beyond the utility business, we could typically identify partners who would be interested in getting access to the meter data. Obviously, should regulatory bodies permit all that and within the right regulatory framework, and of course pay a fee in exchange of this data. Let me pick a simple example. We run basically a service where through aggregation of the load curves, basically we know precisely the typical consumption pattern, okay, that maybe you as a customer have every day at your place. By disaggregating this load curve through various algorithms, we can detect that typically your fridge is getting obsolete and has a very high abnormal consumption pattern. This is a type of a piece of information that is valuable, basically, of course, for utilities, but also for many industry partners, typically white appliances manufacturers, who, against a fee, basically could deliver a voucher for you or offer you a transaction where there'll be kind of a return on investment for you to buy a new fridge and, in the same time, to lower your consumption.
Or some form of app that does a instant energy audit of your house, saying what's about to fail and what isn't. And do you think that those services can be driven a little bit further as well? Because I know this is kind of taken off a lot in America, but it's sort of energy management services. And here we're probably at the scale of our houses. It probably doesn't make sense. But if you let's say have a big office block or or a type 4 building like the Shard or something like that, to go in and say, look, we will make the energy footprint as efficient as possible. Is that some of the way that you guys are thinking as well?
Yeah, exactly. So of course, it's the business case is even stronger when it's about really gearing buildings or large infrastructure, large premises with this kind of automated devices and of course software services. But even actually at a residential level, what we believe is that somehow it's about, by broadening up basically the economic model, it's about really somehow looking at the smart meter equation from a kind of connected homes ecosystem perspective.
Right.
And we believe that utilities will play a pivotal role. And it's now basically that they have to basically position themselves and show the value and the power that everybody can get from the smart meter data. So that's a very important.
Yeah. So then again, where we get to the point where we're saying, okay, don't look at the value of the smart meter just as a device. Look at the value of the data and what that allows us to do. Have you guys done any work in terms of extrapolating that? So let's say if we were to imagine here, we said, okay, we've got the smart meters, we now got the data, it'll allow us to potentially deliver a value-added service X, Y, and Z. Therefore, we can say that the value of that smart meter from being a cost becomes an opportunity cost, and it is now X. Are there any sort of figures that we can?
Well, it's a little bit difficult to share figures because they are easily discussed, basically within the ecosystem I'm describing. But overall, I think your point is valid. It's about trying to turn what appears today as a cost into a revenue opportunity. And of course, nobody wants to charge the end customer. So we need to pull new partners to the table. Should that be like white appliances manufacturers? Should that be banks or insurance companies, maybe willing to craft new contracts attached to what we can see or what we can detect from your home through the smart meters? Should it be with health or any kind of other companies? So the sky is the limit. what's interesting is that all these thinkings comes really from what we achieved in an adjacent market. Basically, we were requested a few years ago by Renault, the French car maker, basically to devise a connected car solution.
Right.
And it was, of course, a great way for them to offer like connected solutions and systems to the driver, of course. But quickly we found out, and we came up with this concept of pulling new partners, willing to define new value propositions and paying to get access to the ecosystem. So this is basically what I think is now on the table for utilities. If they switch really their mindset from, well, cost towards revenue, and if they broaden up the ecosystem to consider really the connected homes model and pull to the game new partners.
You as a business bring economies of scale as well, don't you? Because you aren't rebuilding the IT system from scratch every time a new utility comes on. I would imagine you've got a platform-based approach to the whole thing.
So it's not only based on the platform, but there are even some building blocks that we can typically replicate or reuse from other industries. So in this kind of ecosystem I was just describing, you'll need like security modules. You'll need basically modules just to orchestrate all financial transactions, right? Just to track basically what is paid or what is, well, you need authentication modules and so on and so forth. All these building blocks exist in our portfolio. So we can generate all that basically just within a few months without restarting from scratch. So all that is part of our value proposition. So I guess back to your question, so we bring somehow probably new ways to envision really, say, the smart metering, the smart grid and the connected homes ecosystem, and we enable this view with our building blocks and our tools.
Well, thank you for that, and unfortunately we've come to the end of our time, but I'd like to do one thing, and so this is something for you to do in 12 months' time. I'd love to sit with you and a customer and talk about some of the great things we've done. So there's a challenge. So we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you as well for watching, and again, much more information as well about Atos on Angarati and obviously on the Atos website, but there's a number of white papers that Atos have kindly shared with us about this topic as well. So thank you as well again for watching.